What's up, fam? Hey, thank y'all for tuning in once again. And as always, be sure to like, share, comment, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so every time I drop a video, you will know about it. Today I want to bring a story out of Houston, Texas. This is a sad story. It's maddening, saddening, upsetting. Call it, you can give it any kind of description. But like I said, this is out of Houston. It's about police were calling a welfare check in this apartment complex on Greencrest Drive. And they did a welfare check, found 3 siblings there. Not only did they find 3 siblings, they found a dead body in one of the rooms. So been dead for so long. I said they've been there for over a year. And to the point where it's like skeletal remains. But anyway, I'm gonna read through this, and then I'm going to give my take on it while I go through it. And this is out of the Daily Mail, and like I told you before, the Daily Mail, I love it because they do like in-depth stories. I mean, they get to like the bottom of it. They put all the details out, the main details that you need in the story. And I'm going to leave a link in the description box so y'all can look this up yourself. But this says, House of Horrors, mother and her gangster wannabe boyfriend, right, with family over everything tattoo were picked up by cops in Houston library. Surfing internet stories about their crimes. These got to be the most ignorant ass people. You know what? Let's go through this. Hit these notes. 3 siblings of skeletal remains were found at 3535 Greencrest Drive in Houston after police were asked to do a welfare check on Sunday. It said the Harris County Medical Examiner's Office found 8-year-old Kendrick Lee suffered multiple blunt force injuries and died by homicide. Now what they're saying is that the boyfriend, what's his name? Brian Coulter, 31, and you'll see pictures of him, is the one who beat the boy to death. It's from what the from all the people that's been interviewed, where it's family members, neighbors and everything. They were saying the boy got beat up. The coroner, the medical examiner office was saying that the boy, jaw was broke. He'd been beat up before, and at least his jaw was broke. That's the least that happened. It was in the room, so the boy, they said this old punk had whooped the boy, beat him. I mean, not whooped him with a belt, but beat him up. 8-year-old now. Again, what the hell can an 8-year-old do to you? Talk back, slap you. And here's the problem I got with this. Man, I'm finna get into this shit. So the boy, a 15-year-old boy, called 911 saying his 8-year-old brother had been dead for a year and his skeletal remains were in a room next to his. The children were living in deplorable conditions and had likely been left abandoned for several months. Now it says, some of the interviews say that a couple of the kids, including the 8-year-old boy, was autistic, which is even worse because now you done beat up, I guess, a handicapped boy. Now I guess you can call yourself a man beating up little babies. But anyway, 2 of the kids I believe were autistic, so the mother, that she was getting checks. So I guess the checks were coming in. Now here's another issue. They said that one of the neighbors said that they smelled the stench about 13, 14 months ago, and reported it on multiple times. Got to the point where they had to turn their air conditioner off because the smell was so bad. But nobody went. Well, they don't know if anybody went to go check in on the kids. I'm just gonna say nobody went to go check in on these kids. Couldn't have. If it smelled like death, if you got a reputable, but when you look on the news, the apartment looked like a pretty decent apartment complex. But it's like, how in the hell you have this smell of death and nobody goes to check on it enough to do a search to see where the smell is coming from? But you know what? You do have maintenance men like that. I remember one time I had an apartment. It was a nice set of apartments. We had like gnats flying around. I don't know where they coming from. Come to find out that they come out of some of the soil when you plant. When you have plants in pots, certain soil attract the gnats, fruit flies, or whatever you want to call them. But man, I was putting out traps, spraying, doing everything I could, and just couldn't get rid of them. That damn maintenance man came and he got a trap or something and just stuck it open the top of the ceiling and put like a trap up there and close, and that's all he did. Did nothing else. Didn't vet, didn't look around, nothing else. So yeah, you got some sorry ass maintenance man. But anyway, back to the story. So it says Gloria Y. Williams, 35, and her boyfriend Brian Coulter, 31, were arrested and charged by authorities on Tuesday. Williams has been charged with injury to a child by omission and tampering with evidence. Coulter has been charged with murder for allegedly beating Kendrick to death in November of 2020. His bond set at $1 million. They say neighbors brought children food and charged their cell phone after power was cut to the home, according to law enforcement. Next door neighbor said she first noticed a foul odor coming from siblings' apartment 14 months ago and repeatedly complained about it. Homicide investigators along with Child Protective Services are also working on the case. So here's my problem. I'm gonna let y'all read this yourself. But I'm not gonna read this whole story because I'll be here all damn day. It seems like everybody failed these children. Number one, where's the father? Because in the story they're trying to contact the dad. This happens Tuesday, and then this was written on 27th. Today's the 28th. So as of the update, they hadn't found the dad yet. And if you look at the picture of the kids, excuse me, they're all fully black children. But his boyfriend is a wannabe white gangster rapper with diamonds, bling in his teeth, tattoos all over his face, wearing blue rags. It would look like I can't say he looked like a square. This dude just like a goof, man. He's like a straight goofy. Like damn, where did she find this dude? But like I'm saying, everybody failed the kid. Number one, where's the father? Number two, there's an interview that was done where the news channel talked to the family. And when they put the caption and description of who it was at the bottom of the screen, you see cousins. The cousin is the main one that's talking, saying that she asked this young lady to give them the children years ago. They say the woman had 6 kids, but there was only 3 living in the house, 1 dead, and I think the other 2 were taken by somebody that has custody of the other 2, I guess. So that's a go to the whole story of having all these babies you can't afford it, you can't take care of because you too goddamn crazy to even take care of yourself. But anyway, kids are starving, of course. But the cousin said that her and her mother have been trying for years to get custody of the kids, which means that is the kid's mother's grandmother. The cousin's mother is the kid's mother's grandmother. So the question, the baby daddy's, the father of the kid's grandmother or mother. Not on the mother's side. So where is the mother's family? Like, because one woman said she was the grandmother of the second child, which means you're not the grandmother of all the other kids, which means for the second child, that means you are the mother of the dad of the second child. So again, where is the family of this sister who decided to get into their relationship with this goofy, wannabe thug ass goofy? Where is their family? I see no mother, I see no grandmother, I see no father, I see no siblings. If there are any. Now, maybe they passed away, I don't know. Maybe they are out of her life because of the choices she chooses to make, because there does come a time when you can do so much you can only do so much for your family, and then you have to let them go and live their own life because they refuse to do right by you. I'm quite sure this young lady probably burnt a lot of bridges. I'm quite sure this Goofy probably was abusive to her. Hell, is abusive to her kids. And this is not the first time you've heard stories like this. Hell, there's a story in Houston maybe last year. Was it earlier this year? Where a young lady act like she was outside crying, looking for her child. Said the child was like not even 2 years old, went outside to play outside, or at the playground at the apartment complex. She ended up missing. Kind of find the child was like dead, like floating in the creek, not too far from the boyfriend's mama house. And there's so many stories. You look on the news where the boyfriend killed a boy because the boy peed on the floor, the boy pooped in his diaper, the boy messed up the video game, somebody ate up all this sorry ass nigga cereal, something. And these dudes murder these babies. These little babies. They'll let you know. That's why I was saying in another video. Ladies, this is why you have to vet the father who's going to potentially be the father of your kids. Now you look at this woman, she ain't really a looker, so it's like maybe she thought whoever she had, that's all she could get. But that's not true. That's not true. Don't worry about all you can get if all you want to do is be sorry. If you know you can do better, it's the way you present yourself. A lot of these women do not understand. Yes, looks play a part in it, but looks only get you knocked up. Looks only get you in the bed with a guy. But the way you carry yourself and the way you present yourself is what determines longevity and happiness. Same thing with the fellas, but we're talking about this lady because she's a mother. She's the mother. And a lot of times I know too, a lot of these women don't have a lot of help, don't really understand how life goes, can easily be swayed by a guy with a good mouthpiece, or that just smiles at them, tells a joke, call them pretty from time to time. I understand that happens a lot. It's unfortunate, but it's life. But that's why family structures have to stick together, have to be there to help one another. But like I said, it's only so much you can do for a person who doesn't want to do for themselves, and eventually you have to say, you got to go do it. I pray for you. I pray for the best. I pray to God, to the Most High, that nothing happens to you or your kids, but you got to get out there and do it, because I cannot do it. But this, like I said, this story is terrible. It's a Brian Coates, 31, Tuesday, was arrested and charged with felony murder in connection. They said these fools at the library looking up videos, looking at articles about what they done in Houston. Like I said, you got to be the dumbest two criminals I've seen in my life. Anyway, charged with felony murder in connection with the death of the 8-year-old child, identified in court documents obtained by DataMail.com as Kendrick Lee. His bond was set at $1 million. Coates was not present in court on Wednesday because he was undergoing a mental health evaluation. He just retarded. And evaluation, he just retarded. He need to be put under the jail. Here's the thing, you're 30-something years old. You're old enough to live out there on your own. You're old enough to try to be a thug. You're old enough to put tattoos on your face. You're old enough to do something. You're out there on your own. Somebody ain't living with somebody. So you grown. What you need a mental health evaluation for? I don't understand it. It said the two were previously questioned and released hours after investigators performed their welfare check on Sunday. That's what I didn't understand. You were detained and then released. During all this, are you serious? During which they made the gruesome discovery. It said Williams' 15-year-old son, who had been caring for his two younger brothers with the help of a neighbor who brought them food and charged their cell phone and electricity to their homes, called 911, prompting the welfare check on Sunday. The neighbor. This is why it's important for the word for that we put the community back in community. I said before in another video about how it's hard. It's hard to find communities nowadays, except like in small towns, because a lot of times people have to move to different parts of the city or different parts, hell, the state of the country, to try to find work, try to find apartments that are affordable. So you lose that kinship, you lose that kinship with people around, whether it be neighbors or whether it be family and community. Because when you see 15-year-old and you're feeding these kids, these are the people who said they know these kids are hungry because they have bought kids pizzas, snacks, couldn't cook for them. They wouldn't take cooked food, or the young brother wouldn't take cooked food, but he bought a lot of packaged foods. He would take a lot of packaged food from neighbors. So you know these kids aren't eating. Nobody thought to anonymously call Child Protective Services and do a welfare check on these kids at all. And you mean tell me only one neighbor smelled a foul stench in the vents a year ago? Nobody knew these kids are in and out. Matter of fact, they say the mother got hit with like truancy charges because she didn't register 2 of her kids for school. So the school failed these children. Every adult that had an opportunity to intervene just one more little step did not. But everybody but when you watch the interviews and you read the interviews, a lot of these people, when they talk, you'll see that they only they try to make it seem like they only knew just a little bit. Just, you know, saying, I thought they was hungry, or we didn't really know because, we didn't know that many kids. All this bullshit that we know they did know. But you let the world know that you were just too sorry. I ain't even say, I'm gonna say sorry because they're kids, but let's just say you just didn't want to get involved, but you didn't know. You really didn't. Let's just say you didn't care. You say you just want, you do a little bit. God knows my heart, and I'm gonna go to heaven. Do a little bit. That's fine. Whatever happens, happens. Hope everything turns out okay. It said Linda Smith, the grandmother of one of Williams' children, of one of her children. That's why. So in other words, she did have multiple baby daddies. Told DailyMail.com in an interview on Wednesday that had she known what was going on, she would have adopted her grandson, Javion Kirkland, 7, along with his brothers, Jordan Lee, 15, Trayvon Lee. Trayvon Lee, who was 10. Williams' eldest child, 17-year-old Jasmine Whitaker, was not living with the family. You know what, man? I'm gonna say something that's probably gonna be controversial. I'm not gonna hold y'all too long because the more I read over this story, because I already read this thing about 2 or 3 times. I watched the videos, and every time I look at it, it just pisses me off even more and more. I believe it's all right. It's great being in the land of the free, being able to have the freedom to do what you want, or do what you want or whatever in life. But it comes a time when even grown folks have to be told what to do, have to be made to do what to do. That's what you got laws and rules and prisons for. I'm a strong advocate of you can have one child. You can mess up. You can have one child. You can mess up a little bit, not be the perfect parent. I can understand. It's hard. Parenting is hard. It's a learning process. I have 2 kids. You don't do the same thing with each child. You're supposed to do different or better. You may do different. You don't treat each child the same. Matter of fact, I have one of the siblings, a younger sister. 7.5 years, between 7 and 8 years older than her. She got things that I didn't get. You know what I'm saying? And I'm good. You know what I'm saying? And I wasn't mad about it, never jealous about it because, first of all, she was a girl. She needed more things. And I can understand that. I was a man, I got things, but my dad let me learn stuff in life. My dad let me be a man and act like a man and do manly things because you got to learn stuff. They let my sister do it too, but anyway, they did things with her different than they did with me. But again, you learn, you're supposed to get better as a parent. Anything you do in life, ain't you supposed to get better? But you got people who keep having these babies and ain't getting now better. Ain't even trying to get better. So, like I was saying, you have one child, you learning, I can understand. But after that first child, you got to start thinking, okay, I see how much this baby's gonna cost. I see the headaches. I see what I need to do to provide for the child. But that's one thing I did. Now, I was married to my kids, both of my kids' mother. After I had the first one, I said, you know, before I had kids, I had like 10 kids. After that first one, I said, ooh, maybe 2 or 3 more, maybe, I don't know. We'll see. But first, you know what I'm saying, I'm working in a warehouse, trying to move up. Their mom was going to school, trying to get a degree. So the plan was, you know, trying to build. Kind of like how my parents did, you know, when I was born, and then they was both. My dad had a job. He worked for the city. My mom was still in school, getting out, you know, still in school, nursing school, what have you. And so they grew. We grew the family. Got more, you know, got degrees, got more money, building money. You know what I'm saying, trying to build stuff up. Went from apartments to duplex to house, own houses and stuff. Now they retired. But from my vantage point, they got better. They learned and grew as they got older. I myself caught myself doing the same thing. As I got older, try to do better for my kids. Knowing that kids are expensive, knowing they need things. I had 2 girls, knowing they need stuff. So I'm gonna go to work, I'm gonna go to school. I need their mother to get a degree if that's what she's gonna do, so she can provide for them in case something happens to me. And I also need to get out there and try to find a career, get a career to where I can provide, you know, for them too. So that's how I was thinking. And you know, eventually that's how it worked out. But like I said, the older you get, you're supposed to get wiser, you're supposed to get better at things. And parenting is supposed to be included in that. But if you done had the first one and it's hard as hell, and then you slip up and have a second one, and that one was probably even harder because you ain't did no better in your life, I think there has to be what they call a moratorium. Something has to be put in place to say, hey, we are going to demand that you stop making babies. We are gonna put we'll put a device in you. Nigga, we will cut your, you know what I'm saying, clip your tubes. Men, we'll give you a vasectomy, something. But if you out here got dudes out here with like 10 kids, 5, 6 baby mamas can't afford them, that dude there should be clipped. You know, and I mean, it's just like, you can say, oh man should be able to do what he wants to with his body. Okay, you're right. But what she's doing is affecting the community as a whole. And for the community to have to pay for what a person chose to do with their body, because it's their body, but their choices is screwing up the community, that's not fair to everybody else. So you tell me why it's not cool to demand that folks, like they do in China, you're gonna have so many kids. You know? Now, problem in China is they was killing babies. You know, they was probably still are, but for a long time they would find out that they was like, you know, killing little girls or putting them up for adoption, sending to adoption home because everybody wanted a boy. You know, you can have like one child or whatever, say, oh, well, I need a boy. You ain't gonna find out you only got a country full of boys and no females, and very few females. So they didn't vet that process too well. But I understand the premise. The premise is in China is overpopulated. So I understand the premise of mandating a certain amount of kids. And y'all might think that's wrong, and people should have a right to do what they want to. Yeah, you're right. Like old Chris Rock said, just because you can do it don't mean you should. But the problem is, what I'm talking about, it's already going on in this country. Y'all just don't know it. They do it to where they sugarcoat it to make you think it's okay. They involve you in it. That's the dirty trick. They involve you in the process. And then you think everything's fine. Like abortion clinics. You know, living in liberal states and having a liberal government. Birth control pills. Pills that you can take, it can mess up your hormones, jack it up. I know females took birth control pills and had blood clots. You know what I'm saying? Stuff, you know, they had to stop taking pills. Because it's all experimental. Kind of like this jab they want to give. They want everybody to take it. That's another story. So see, they'll do things try to make you think that it's your choice. Shit, you don't know. Like some of these jabs or whatever they give us over time. And you know these things are not 100% accurate. 100% effective. They know some things that you take, some things that you eat, you know, can cause you to not have babies, can make you sterile, can destroy you. Some of these crimes you commit can put you in prisons to where you can't have no babies. You can have gay sex, but you can't have no babies. You see what I'm saying? So, and there have been stories. Margaret Sanger, look it up. But there have been stories where people have been sterilized, women have been sterilized, you know, have things surgically removed out of them to where they can't have babies. Black women in the history of this country, not so distant history. Again, look it up. To where you can't have babies. So it's already going on to a point, and eventually but they're gonna make it to where when it really happens the way they want it to happen, you ain't gonna know what's going on. So anyway, but they're doing it for population control, racial reasons, wealth reasons, stuff like that. I'm talking about doing it because, like I'm saying, y'all get these people who don't know how to be parents, don't know what to do, ain't got a lick of sense, and having these babies, and like I say, it's destroying communities. They say they're not vetting the mothers, they're not vetting the fathers, they're just out there sleeping with each other. That's the most primitive thing you can do. You can get a person who has a low IQ or low mental capacity to do normal functions, and these people, the one thing that they know how to do is to have sex. Look it up. Like I said, that's the most primitive thing you can do. One of the most primitive things you can do in this world, being alive, is to procreate. You can do that shit while you sleep. You can do that while you. I seen guy did a video not too long ago. So he had a baby. He was in a coma. Didn't even know he had it. He woke up, he had a whole child. So that means somebody was doing something to him while he was in a coma. You see what I'm saying? While he was unconscious. So procreation is the cornerstone of life. You understand what I'm saying? So, like I said, but my point is, if you got one kid you mess up on, then 2 kids you mess up on, that should be it. But 3, 4, 5, 6? Man, that's a problem. And I don't know what kind of mental health issues that the mother may be going through or may have gone through. You hear about the postpartum syndrome and how these mothers have these babies and, you know, unfortunately kill these kids in a way, shoot babies, drown them, throw them off bridges, put them in the oven, stab them up. Had one young lady, one sister that was on the internet going story went viral. She was a young lady, had 2 kids, and she was reaching out for help, crying out for help, saying that nobody would help her, and she ended up committing suicide. I can understand. So I empathize with people who go through problems, because people do go through problems. People do have, and people need help. That's why I was saying we got to put community back in community, because without it, I mean, you're gonna continue to have situations like this where you got women who feel they have no other choice, whether right or wrong, whether from their own doing or not. They have conditioned their mind to believe they have no other choice than to do what they're doing, when they probably had a bunch of choices. There are a lot of programs out here that can help people. They can't help everybody, but they can help some. A lot of money out here. You see how the government just creating money out of thin air without a problem. But yet they don't have money to help the community. They don't have money to help put jobs in the Black American Aboriginal community. They took trades out of schools. They create mega churches where there's really no community. There ain't much community in mega churches because our little churches where the family church is really based around. And they got big mega churches who some do, some don't, but a lot of them you don't hear nothing good about that they do in the community. When you got a mega church, you should be doing mega things. Now I know we got churches in Dallas that I know they do things because they be all up on the radio and on TV. But and like I say, and like a preacher in DeSoto, pastor in Detroit, that like bought a bunch of houses around his church and rent them out to his congregation. Stuff like that help build community. Everybody can do a little bit, but with this story here, like I said, this is a sad story. This is terrible. Like I said, the mom, she definitely failed her children. She's been left alone for months. Then she got this old goofy boyfriend who, I don't know where she found this dude at, but my God. But anyway, tell me what you think of this story. Just tell me what you think of this story. This here, I hope people read this story and don't just read it, say, oh my gosh, gonna pray for the mother and gonna pray for the kids and go about their business. I hope this shows the people, man, take more of an initiative. If you see something going on that seems kind of iffy, there's nothing wrong with asking a question or two. I'd rather ask for a question and somebody get upset because I asked and me not ask a question at all, and then something like this. You read about it on the news. Get to know your neighbors. Get to know your family. Stay in contact with your family. You should talk to your mother and your father and your kids daily. A lot of us don't talk daily, so you should at least text them or something. But stay in contact with your family, your relatives, your grandparents, the community that you live in. Get out and get to know each other. You ain't gonna know you got a crazy ass serial killer unless you get out there and meet him. Too many stories where things happen to these children and nobody know what's going on until it's too late because you don't know the family. But anyway, like I said, I'm out of here. Tell me what you think. Leave your comments below. I say thank y'all for listening, for tuning in. Watch, subscribe, comment. If you want to help support the channel, look at the description box below and go to the website. You can purchase some merchandise that will help finance the channel. You want to start your own YouTube channel? Hit that TubeBuddy link. Do your search, find what the hot topics are for the day. It'll help you, show you which videos to make so you can increase that viewership, those subscriptions, trying to get that monetization. That's the key. And also to show you the tags you can use to where you can get, you can boost you up in that search engine. But with that being said, I'll leave you the same way I came. That's a peace.